In this series, we've learned some stuff about God. Now we have to choose if we're going to follow Him. In Matthew chapter 7, verses 13 and 14, Jesus says, "Enter by the narrow gate, for this gate is wide, and the way is easy that leads to destruction, and those who enter by it are many. For the gate is narrow, and the way is hard that leads to life, and those who find it are few." This tells us that we have to decide, are we going to submit to Him? It reminds me that following Jesus is not easy, but choosing to trust the God of the Bible leads to life. In this episode, we look back on some of the stuff we've learned about God and think about how we can respond to Him. I'm thankful that you took time today to pull up a seat. I hope these few minutes together help you follow Jesus better by deepening your relationship with Him and helping you live intentionally for Him every day. Let's review some stuff that we've learned about God. God is holy. Holy is not a word we use very often. Holy is the absence of sin and the presence of goodness. God has no hint of evil or sin. He is the embodiment of all things good. There is no corruption in Him. God is the perfect example of all things good and right. God is love. God's very essence is the one of love. We saw that in the Trinity. The three persons of the Trinity live in the perfect relationship of love that is for the good of each other. God has to love because this is who He is. He loves us so much that He sent His only Son, Jesus, to rescue us from our sin and restore us to a relationship with Him. He loves us no matter what. God can do anything. The big word for this is omnipotent. God is all-powerful. He is so powerful that He can fix the biggest problem in the history of the world. He can save us from our sin. Because He is powerful, He gives and energizes all of life. He sustains and holds all things together. God can do anything. God is everywhere. He's omnipresent. He's not bound by spatial or time limits. He is fully present in each and every situation. So you can tap into His power, His peace, His strength, and His comfort no matter where you are or what you're going through. God knows everything. God knows everything. His knowledge is unlimited. It's comprehensive. It's perfect. God is omniscient. He knows what is best in each and every situation. Also, God is in control. The big word for that is sovereign. He is the supreme ruler. He bows down to nothing. There's nothing that is not under His power. As we think about all this stuff about God, we should say what Hannah did in 1 Samuel 2, verse 2. "There is none holy like the Lord, for there is none beside you. There is no rock like our God." There truly is nothing like the God of the Bible. There is no one like the God of the Bible. As we understand more stuff about God, it should affect our head, it should affect our hearts, and it should affect our hands. We should think different. We should have strong emotions based on the facts that we know about God. We should live and act differently. Our everyday lives should be different. We should respond to the stuff we know and have learned about God. So what is our response? First, we've got to choose. You and I have to decide if we will believe. Do you truly believe that God is all the stuff that we've been talking about in the last few episodes? Do you live like you have chosen to believe in this God? We have to trust. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make straight your paths." We trust that God knows better than us, and we let Him guide us. We obey. In Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 28, we read, Be careful to obey all these words that I command you, that it may go well with you and with your children after you forever, when you do what is good and right in the sight of the Lord your God. We obey because we know that God and all that we have learned about him is true and in our best interest. The next thing we do is we have to tell others. If we've experienced the God of the Bible, we can't help but talk about him. In Acts chapter 4, verse 20, Peter and John stand before the council and they declare, as far as we're concerned, we can't stop speaking about what we have seen and heard. You talk about what you have experienced. If you can't talk about Jesus, maybe you haven't truly experienced him. Paul instructs us to present our bodies as a living, holy sacrifice acceptable to God, which is your spiritual act of worship. As we know more stuff about God, it will help us go through each moment of our lives as living sacrifices. I pray that what we know about God helps us to be better followers of Jesus. I'm praying for you and I'm praying for me to properly respond to him each and every day, because he is a good God. Thanks for taking the time to listen to this episode of Pull Up a Seat. If you've not yet subscribed, do that now so you can get content as soon as it comes out. Also, please help us get the word out by sharing on social media and inviting others to pull up a seat. Until next time, grow in your relationship with Jesus and find one way to live intentionally for him. See you next time when we pull up a seat.